about something, and it's playing along to others' music, playing along to tracks that you enjoy, and even the importance of playing along to tracks that you might not quite enjoy, but are in a style that you want to play at some point in the future. So in this video, I'd just like to talk more than do a lesson about how playing along with other people's music has helped me. So it started out when my dad got me my first drum set. I was 13 years old. I'd played drums on my dad's drummer's drum set, but never had my own. And, you know, my dad was an amazing man, and he bought me the drum set, and he put it in the basement of his house. And the thing that he did was get me headphones and a radio that sat next to my drum set and stressed the importance of playing along to music, you know. And back then, it kind of started out with jazz. So having done all of that, I can't express how important it was in my development as a drummer. Shortly thereafter, I took drum lessons with the great Shelly Rim, and that was jazz lessons for quite a while, and then went on to study under Mingo Lewis, who played with Santana, Chick Corea, The Tubes, Strictly Roots, has his own band now, and is just an amazing percussionist and drum set drummer. The reason that I stress the importance of playing along with music that you like and music that you want to be able to play is kind of threefold. The first thing being, it acts as a metronome. Okay, there's times when music actually fluctuates, like Highway to Heaven or Stairway to Heaven and things like that, where there's a different tempo, they're not playing to a click. But more often than not, these days, most of the music that people are into is recorded to a click track. And in that sense, it's a fun way to play to a metronome. So you're not playing to a metronome. You're not playing, you know, ding, click, 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 ding. I mean, that boring. That's great, don't get me wrong, especially for working on rudiments and basic drum beats. Maybe there's a shuffle pattern that you're trying to play. You need to slow it down, you need to get the ins and outs of it, and then speed it up to the point where you're playing it comfortably at tempos that you want to play it at. But all in all, you're playing to a metronome when you're playing to a track. The second thing is, you're learning to play with other musicians. It might not feel like it, but you'll start to realize by playing along to music that the relationship between the bass drum and the bass guitar, and the relationship between the hi-hat and the guitar, or keyboards, and the snare drum, and the mid parts of a keyboard or guitar part. And basically, how a drummer comes up with the groove or the beat that he's going to play for any given track. So always listen first when you're coming up with a drum beat. Let the band play through the whole piece and just don't play. Just listen. Second time through or third time through, start playing what kind of feels right. Start locking in with the bass player. Start figuring out what you want to do. And that's how you're going to develop and become a Ringo Starr or a drummer that is getting called on for gigs or sessions because, man, you got to get this guy. He comes up with great drum parts. He knows how to listen. He's got big ears. Anybody who's in the business is going to tell you your biggest asset is your ears. You could have all the chops in the world, but they're not hiring drummers to go play big stadiums to do hour-long drum solos. We have contests. Guitar Center has a good contest for drummers of that ilk, and there's definitely a place for that for the gospel guys and all that, but let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, you want to play with a band. You want to get out there, you want to be seen in front of people, you want to get paid, you want to express yourself, and the best way to do that is to be a Ringo Starr. I'm not sure that there's not a video out there of Ringo Starr playing a drum solo. I wouldn't put money on it, but if there is a video of Ringo Starr out there playing a 2-minute, even 3-minute solo on the internet, on the YouTube machine, link it down below, because he's not that kind of drummer. He's a really slept-on drummer, you know. When you talk about drummers, he's no Mike Portnoy, he's no John Bonham. But in my opinion, for pop music, Ringo Starr is by far one of the best drummers, because he had giant ears. His ears were like satellite dishes. He listened to what the band wanted to get across, and he played the part that mattered. Now, to the point that he was able to say, I don't think this song needs drums, and not shoehorn himself into a song just because I'm a Beatle, and how dare you not have me on the track. One of the biggest assets any musician can have is to not play. It's a sign of being humble. I mean, we all know that guy who can't, on any instrument, can't stop playing. Stop playing, dude. Chill out, bro. It's cool. We're talking. We're in between songs at rehearsal. Or this is a guitar piece. Even John Bonham in Led Zeppelin, there's plenty of songs. No drums. No drums. So, I mean, that's kind of the second reason that it's a good idea. Now, the third reason, and this is kind of hippity-dippity, spiritual, say what you will. When my dad set that drum set up for me in the basement, he did 2 things. He gave me a time and a space to play my instrument and told me to never feel like I was bothering the family, that I was putting anybody out. Son, if you feel like you want to play your drums, by all means, go down there and play your drums. The second thing he did was he put a strobe light in my bass drum, okay? Blink, blink, blink. And he put Christmas lights all around the room, and he put a radio and big old school, 80s cans that just blocked out all the noise. What I didn't realize at the time was he had set me up with an environment to zero in on my law of attraction. When I would play drums down there and turn off all the lights, turn on my Christmas lights, get the strobe light in my bass drum going, I didn't know it then, and I don't think he really did either. There wasn't talk of the law of attraction. But what he had done was put me in a position where I felt like a rock star. I mean, if I was playing Boyz II Men, if I was playing along to whatever it was that I was playing along to. I did a lot of R&B and hip-hop when I was a kid. I liked playing along to that stuff. By the way, Boyz II Men was a really slow album. Little did I know at the time that I was learning to groove at a super low BPM. And anybody who's tried or is in a band who asks them, man, I need you to lay down just a thick, just funky, fat groove, but it's slow, knows how hard that is. It's easy to groove at 100 BPMs. It's not so easy at 60, 70 BPMs. So that was one, but I was in this position where I felt like a rock star. I really did. I'm not, no hyperbole. I was picturing myself on big stages. I was picturing the lights and the fog and the fireworks, and I could picture myself playing in front of people and picture myself playing with people. And I'm not kidding. I would look over and nod my head at a musician that wasn't there. We're getting it, man. We are getting it. We're getting it. I didn't know. I was a kid. Kids have big imaginations. But it wasn't long after that I was in California, before I was 20 years old, playing in front of crowds. I mean, Reggae on the River, playing these big shows, Reggae in the Park, playing these big, big shows that I had already envisioned in my head. So that's really all this video was about. No lessons. I'll be back with lessons. But put your earbuds in, put your headphones on, create an environment, get the lighting right, set the mood, man, and play the music you want to play. Don't just sit behind your drum set with a click track or without one and just play chops, and every 4 measures you're doing a roll. There's a track on Prince's Crystal Ball. It's a 4-disc album with Morris Day on the drums. I think it's the 3rd disc in the set, and it's hard to come by because it's not on the internet as far as I'm aware of. But there's a track on there, and I'm honest, it might be 15 minutes long. And it's Prince playing bass and talking into the mic, and Morris Day playing drums, and it's a drum lesson that they recorded. And Prince is telling Morris Day, let's say it's 10 minutes. For the first 9 minutes, he's telling Morris Day, you better not hit that crash cymbal. Don't play near drum roll. You better play that groove. And when Morris's hi-hat starts to fall off and he starts to get a little tense, Prince tells him, I see a bald spot. I'm seeing a bald spot. You better put your hat back on. He's training Morris Day in this drum lesson to be able to play for the song, to play a beat. If you're jamming for Stevie Wonder in the studio and Stevie Wonder says, we're going to do this groove for 20 minutes, but I need you not to do anything. Just play the groove. It seems easy until you try it. So when you're playing along to these tracks, if it's a track where the drums from dot to the end don't have a drum roll, even if it's a drum machine, if you're playing along, I play along to Nerd, N-E-R-D, Pharrell, a lot for that reason, because some of the beats, the drummer's loose and he's playing rolls and they're fun, but other beats, it's either a drum machine or it's a drummer like Questlove who can play straight through. Questlove is modern day Ringo. Let's admit it. He can go sit down with any artist on stage. They say, here's the pattern, the kick snare pattern. Play that for 7 minutes. He does it. He never gets tired of doing it. He's not a showy drummer. Plays for the song. Guess who gets the gig? Guess who's on TV making a bunch of money? The guy who can play the song. Simple as that. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this one up. I love you guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope your Thanksgiving was good. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.